John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. Oh yeah, John, hello.
Hey, how are you, Kevin?
It's me, Kevin. I'm well. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. A little warm, but
yeah. I heard you had AC malfunction issues.
Yeah, I mean our compressor went out last night, and so we've got a window unit in our bedroom, so that way, we can sleep comfortably. But the rest of the house is a little warm at the moment.
What is generally the temperature this time of year in Indiana, where you are?
Well, I mean, it's 11:30 Saturday night.
Yeah.
And it's still 73 degrees outside.
Wow, yeah, and humid, right?
Yeah, fairly humid. I mean, it was up in the 80s today, and it felt like the 90s because of the humidity. So.
Man, I miss the 90s. Those were good times. That's a tease for something else.
It is.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, though, because we have this episode to get to, which is episode 10.
Yes.
And also, yes, I'm sorry you don't have AC. That sucks, man. You
it's
look
okay.
very sweaty.
We're working on getting it fixed.
Good, man. Yeah, episode 10. And if you listened last week, you already know what we're doing. We're doing music. Mm-hmm. We're each doing a specific genre. I am doing the genre of ska music, and you are doing, John?
Shanties.
And I know we have a quiz. I have a quiz to take, but give us a nutshell version. What can you tell us about shanties?
Songs that were sung on sailing ships.
Sailing ships.
Yep.
Yes. Gosh, see, now I want to ask so many follow-up questions already, but I don't want to spoil anything. And that is, I think, enough. And for those that don't know ska music, this is that. God, it's so hard because I don't want to spoil any questions. If you don't know ska, it's horns, it's upbeat guitar, it's walking bass lines, and I just don't want to say too much because it might come up in questions. But some of my favorite bands growing up were ska bands, and I'm really excited. To be honest, John, I feel a lot of pressure because I love this music a lot, but I've never been an historian on the topic. I've never been like an expert, but right. I do know the music very well, and so I feel like I have a lot of pressure to represent the music in an accurate and enthusiastic way. No,
I get that. I mean, I don't feel as much of that pressure only because, although I've enjoyed this style of music for quite a while, last year on TikTok and Instagram, it just kind of blew up all of a sudden.
Did it really? See, that was kind of going to be my question, is how this got on your radar. So you've been aware of these for a while.
Oh, right? Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed, the Master and Commander movie, which I wish they would make more of those. But, I mean, you kind of get a sense of the music a little bit from that. Even at the beginning of the very first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, that Yo-Ho song, that is a style of shanty.
That is a style. See, there's a good reference point for people who wouldn't have it.
It's a slow one, but it still has a use.
In what ways has it been blown up on TikTok? Now I'm super curious.
There was one song specifically called Wellerman that I'm not sure the guy that. He just kind of put it out there, and then it kind of just, because with TikTok and Instagram, you can take what's already there and then add yourself to it. And so it kind of just did that, and there's a bunch of different versions and remixes of it. And it kind of just blew up for, a month or two.
Amazing. I can't wait till we blow up on TikTok, John.
Well, we'd have to have TikTok first.
Yeah, we'll get on it first, and then we'll blow up. It's inevitable. Well, let's get into our tidy up section then. Here we go. Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up. It's all right there in the song. Mm-hmm. We want to fix our mistakes tonight is what's sung. And so if we have errors from the previous episode, this is where we tidy them up. Mm-hmm. And I do have one. You can see the idea is that we're going to be called out on these things. With a humble beginning. We don't have a lot of people who are active participants just yet. We have a few here and there, but we didn't get called out on anything. I did, John, however, call myself out on something via text to you. And what it was a joke that you made that I missed. I missed it altogether. And so I'm trying something new for this tidy up section. I actually have audio evidence of this tidy up. So here's what we're gonna do is we were talking about our astrological signs. John is an Aquarius, and they were described as eccentric. And we were talking about the word eccentric, and I have little sound effects that bring us in and out of the flashback. So here we go. I'll let this do the talking. I guess I think of eccentric as like really over the top and loud, but it doesn't have to be. It's more of like a...
I feel like that's more ostentatious.
Yeah, eccentric is a little more off the wall kind of interest, different kind of left of the beaten path, if you will.
I mean, I did wear Vans shoes for quite a long time. So.
I did too. Did you catch it? Did you catch the joke? John, off the wall Vans shoes. That's the slogan of Vans shoes. Off the wall. And so he was saying, well, I did wear Vans shoes and I'm sitting there thinking like, yeah, okay, that's not that crazy. That's not that eccentric. I wore Vans shoes too. And I just blew right past it.
I wondered if you recognized it and then just decided to just kind of go with it or not, but
yeah, I get in my head sometimes and I'm like, well, I think there's something there, but I can't quite figure it out, so I'm just going to keep talking and talk my way out of this. And I should have just paused and thought, oh, John, you are a hilarious young man, and that was a great joke. And so now I'm acknowledging you here. So well done. Great joke.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm young anymore, but we both are starting to border that midlife range.
Midlife, yeah. We're getting into old man territory here.
Yeah. This isn't a tidy up, but, you mentioned that we don't have a lot of people yet that are as interactive as we would like, which is fine. And that might just be because they've not listened to the end of the show.
Yeah.
And know that they can reach us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. We've got a Patreon that you can find us on, and you can find all of that info at lackofgenius.com.
The hub. That's our hub. Yeah, we usually save that for the end of the episode, and maybe people are skipping. And yeah, aside from just promoting that we're on all these things, we like to really encourage people to communicate with us. We want to hear it. We want your feedback. We want to hear we want you to call out our mistakes. So we understand that comes with time. So we just want to continue to be diligent and consistent and encourage you to do so.
Yeah.
So with that said, we're going to get into quiz time. Yeah.
Yep.
Here we go. It's time to take a quiz or two. Like a Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. All right. Yes, again, lackofgenius.com. That's where you can take this quiz if you want to. That's where John and I will be reading and taking this quiz ourselves from.
Yep.
And I am asking you the first question this week about ska music.
You are.
Here we go. Let's do it, John. I'm excited. We're just going to jump right in. John, here's number one on ska. Which of the following is not one of the eras of ska music? Okay, one of the eras of ska music. Third wave, Jamaican ska, rock steady, or two-tone?
I feel like I've heard third wave before as a term. I know ska has a little bit of a background, or derived a little bit from reggae, so I'm assuming there's Jamaican ska. Two-tone definitely seems like that could be something. I mean, Rocksteady I know as a character from the Ninja Turtles.
Are we doing another tease right now?
Unintentionally?
Unintentionally, yeah. We'll get back to that. We won't leave you hanging on that, we promise.
But at the same time, Rocksteady can also be I could see that being related to ska as well. I think I'm going to go with two-tone.
Two-tone is your selection.
It is.
Is two-tone correct? It's incorrect. Two-tone was one of the eras of ska. This Rocksteady would have been the correct answer.
I almost went with that one.
Yeah, Rocksteady is essentially a separate genre. It is similar to ska, but it's not one of the eras of ska music. The three eras of ska music in order are Jamaican ska, followed by two-tone, followed by third wave, which is essentially what we're currently in. And you know, Jamaican ska is essentially what ska was founded as. You know, it is a Jamaican style of music. It was the late 1950s. It ran through the early 1970s. One of the biggest Jamaican ska bands, the Ska-Delights. But really, Jamaica just had a lot of independent solo artists, people who were taking it. I mean, there's so much history on this. They essentially, Jamaica was able to listen to the radio stations that came in from like the South, from like Louisiana, a lot of bluesy jazz stuff, and they sort of were able to take that and develop it into what became ska music. And then just it moved on to two-tone, which was mainly in Britain, which was mainly in the UK, 1970s, kind of became more of a punk rock, a little more aggressive with the music style. This is like bands like The Specials and the English Beat, Madness. And then third wave ska kind of took over in the 80s, 90s, 2000s across a bunch of countries, UK, Germany, Spain, Australia, and obviously US and Canada is where it took over in North America. 90s ska and punk was a big deal. You had bands like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Operation Ivy, Real Big Fish, Save Ferris, the Aquabats. So, you know, that's the ska that I knew and I grew up on. And I've since done my studying and research on these other forms of ska. But the most commercially successful in America would be the third wave ska.
I mean, especially No Doubt.
No Doubt is No Doubt and Sublime are considered ska music, and especially in their early days. But they had the most like radio success. I mean, to this day, LA radio plays Sublime and No Doubt every day.
I think pretty much there's probably a station in every city that plays at least one of those.
Exactly. Yeah. So they really put the genre on the map.
Yeah.
All right. Shanties.
You ready for your first one?
I am. Let's do it.
I decided to start off with a true and false.
Oh, wow. Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because you know it's going to throw me off right off the bat.
And it may end with one, too.
Oh, more teasing.
Shanties were primarily sung during work. True or false?
Okay. True or false? So shanties are songs that are sung on ships, by sailors. It would make sense to me that they're sung during work. Like, I mean, was that a mic drop? That was a mic drop, wasn't it? I was going to use that little side whistle sound effect. In fact, here it is. That's the sound for every time John drops his microphone from now on. So, okay. Shanties. You know, I can see it as I'm equating it almost to like the Seven Dwarves. Like, you know, they do their whistling while they work. They whistle while they work. I'm going to say true. I'm going to say that shanties are primarily sung or were primarily sung during work. True is my answer.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Shanties were primarily sung during work. And actually the whistle while you work with the Seven Dwarves, if you notice the animation, or if you remember the animation, they're swinging their pickaxes at this with the rhythm of the song.
Yes,
So I don't know how much about sailing vessels, but I mean, you know, if you're on a small, 20 foot or even 30 foot, you can handle the sails as one person pulling.
Okay.
You get into those larger, 3-masted ships or, even bigger, you need teams of people to do stuff. And whether it's, to raise a sail or to pull up the anchor. And so there's a lot of time you need to do it in a rhythm. You know, you don't want one person to pull and then 2 seconds later another person pulls. You want to pull all at the same time.
Yeah, isn't like heave ho like there's like even like heave ho. I don't know what that even relates to. But
another thing you can think of is whenever you see the people in the boat and that you've got the drummer.
Yes, that's what I was thinking too.
That's it's not a shanty, but it's designed to keep people in a rhythm and going. And so with a lot of the songs, you have one person that leads the song and then you have a chorus, but then at the end of the chorus, there's some sort of, not necessarily a harsh sound, but kind of a stop sound. And that's when everyone would pull or push on the capstan or something like that.
Oh, so so they're doing the energy on the beat or whatever, on whatever the sound is. So if it's a drum, it's on the drum they're pulling.
Right. And in general, shanties don't have instruments. It's all vocal.
Okay, so when you say a sound, you literally mean it's not an instrument, it's some kind of.
Yeah, it's them singing.
I love it. It's chanting. Okay, man. I'm excited to hear.
And you just said chanting, and so I spelled shanty with an S at the beginning.
Yeah.
It can also be spelled with a C.
Because they're chanties.
Yeah, so there's different ways that shanty can be spelled.
I love this. I'm learning so much, and we're only one question in. This is great, John. All right, let's move on to number 2 for ska music.
Yep.
John, which of the following is not one of the popular theories as to where the word ska came from? And you'll notice that I phrase that as popular theories because there isn't one point like this is where it came from. But where did the word ska come from? Which one of these is not one of the popular theories? A, it's the sound made by the guitar in ska music. B, it's short for a common greeting from the time. C, it's short for scat, which is the improvised style of jazz singing. Or D, it's short for skank, which is the name of the upstroke of the guitar.
I think I have to go with it's short for a common greeting from the time. I'm fairly certain I've heard the short for scat theory. Mm-hmm. As far as the sound made by the guitar, it definitely, depending on the band, you've got that sound. Mm-hmm. And I think I've heard the skank one as well. So I'm going to go with the common greeting for the time.
It's short for a common greeting of the time.
Yep.
That is incorrect.
That
is a real one. And I almost even included the greeting. The greeting was skavuvi. Skavuvi. It was something that they would say when they walk into music clubs or bars, apparently. It's like, hey, skavuvi. I probably am using it totally wrong, but that there is a strong belief that is, they took the word ska from skavuvi and made it ska. Yeah, and then so the sound that the ska guitar makes, like ska, 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 ska. So that is accurate. The one that is incorrect is skank.
Okay.
So skank is the name of the offbeat of the strumming of the guitar. That is one of the names for it, but it's also a style of dance that's popularized that I've done many a time. I've skanked at many shows, but I saw no evidence that said that was where the name came from. In fact, you notice that scat, the improvised style of jazz singing, there is a popular theory that that's where it came from, so much so to the point that there's actually evidence of like flyers from back in the like early 60s that had ska spelled SCA, like in scat. So that's why that's one of the popular theories.
Okay.
Yeah, John. Sorry, man. Off to a bad start. I'm feeling really good. I'm gonna be honest. Not because you're feeling bad, just because I have a shot at this episode.
If I lose, I blame the heat.
Yeah, exactly. It's got your brains all jumbled up.
I mean, if anything, though, the heat should help with that, since ska seems to be a warmer climate music.
Yeah, well, you have time to come back. I'm 1 for 1, you're 0 for 2, so we'll see what this next question brings.
Which word best describes one of the types of shanties?
Okay.
Throw, haul, unwind, or fly?
Okay, very fascinating. So we've learned that shanties are typically sung during working. So there are different types of shanties, which this kind of makes sense because all of those are sort of... Yeah, they're all types of work: throwing, hauling, unwinding, flying. I initially was drawn to either throw or haul, but now I'm thinking those are, no. I was gonna say those are kind of the same thing. They're not. Throwing is tossing something, hauling is you're carrying it. Fly is interesting. Flying is not something that humans can do, at least not without the help of technology. I'm gonna choose haul, helps describe a type of shanty. That's my final decision.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So when it comes, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of different versions of shanties, but it primarily breaks down into 2 different actions.
Okay.
There's the hauling, and then there's heaving.
Heave and ho.
Kind of, yeah. So in hauling actions, you've got long drag, which, you've got a big topsail, like one of the big sails, and so you've got a long drag to go. Or you may just have a short drag, which would be like for a main sheet or a foresheet.
Oh, see, so I don't even know. So drag is a distance of like being pushed by the wind. Is that what or?
No, it's just how much rope I think you need to pull.
Oh, got it. In order to get the sail up.
Yeah. So I'm getting some of the information from Wikipedia. And so a long drag would usually mean that there's 2 pulls per chorus line.
Oh, okay.
And then a short drag is, I think, just 1. So the rhythm of the long drag would get you to, kind of get 2 pulled in. And then with the short drag, you've got 1 big one.
That is fascinating. It kind of reminds me of we talked, I think, last week about, in kind of a joking way, about the value of a second. And you were saying that it was the time for something to vibrate, right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is because the length of the song is determined by the length of the work, the length of the pull of the rope, essentially, right?
Exactly. And most of the shanties had, the first couple verses everyone knew. And then depending on the length that it needed to be, the person leading the song would make up verses.
They drop a freestyle.
Yeah. And so even now you may have two bands, sing the same shanty, but the verses might be a little bit different just because of how they wanted to sing it.
I don't want to spoil the quiz, but do you get into shanty artists later in this quiz, or?
Well, I was going to give an example of one.
Okay.
For a short drag. And actually, we're going to do something this week we hadn't talked about yet.
Yeah.
We're going to create a couple playlists. One on Apple Music, one on Spotify.
You can hear examples of these.
Exactly. So that way we don't get dinged for using other people's stuff.
Yeah. We won't use it in the episode, but we can post it on a playlist and then reference you to that.
Yep. And so one example of a long drag shanty would be Blow the Man Down. Something that, I think most kids hear at some point. And then an example of a short drag is a song called Holloway Joe. The chorus is just away, haul away, we'll haul away Joe. And Joe is when they would pull.
Is that the one where it's like, away, away, away? Or am I just making something up?
I think you're just making something else up. But that's going to be one of the songs in the playlist. So if you want to listen to it, the version I'm going to put up is by a band called The Longest Johns. Okay. And they're actually the one that originally sang the song Wellerman that I mentioned earlier, that someone else covered on TikTok.
Gotcha. I'm excited to hear it. You're pretty long John yourself, my friend. Okay. That's pretty cool, man. That's very interesting. All right. You ready for number 3?
I am.
This is a true or false question. So here's your 50-50 shot. True or false? Weird Al Yankovic parodied a Real Big Fish song. Real Big Fish being one of the hugest 90s ska bands. They're still current. They're one of my favorites. So they had a big heyday in the 90s. Did Weird Al parody one of their songs? True or false?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
So you know how Weird Al always does a polka mix on each album? Are you considering that a parody, or are you talking about eat it instead of beat it?
Yeah, I'm talking about he took a whole Real Big Fish song and he changed the lyrics of it and made it one of the songs on his album. Granted,
my sister could probably answer this question better than I can because I haven't necessarily stayed up to date a whole lot on his newest albums. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go with true.
You're going to say true.
I'm going to say true.
John is saying true. That is incorrect. Yeah, you were kind of on the right path though. He did not parody a Real Big Fish song. He did, however, have a ska style parody song on his album Running with Scissors. So it was a ska song ironically enough, called Your Horoscope Today.
Yeah, I remember that song now.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remembered it too, and I was like, that was a ska song. I went back and listened. It's totally ska. And not only is it ska, they actually, 2 of the members of Real Big Fish play the horn sections on that song. The reason I wanted to include this question is because each verse, he creates a horoscope for each astrological sign. So I decided to pull out our horoscopes in the song, what he wrote. So for Aquarius, which is your astrological sign, he wrote, "There's travel in your future when your tongue freezes to the back of a speeding bus. Fill that void in your pathetic life by playing whack-a-mole 17 hours a day." So that's your horoscope for today. My horoscope as a Capricorn is, "The stars say that you're an exciting and wonderful person, but you know they're lying. If I were you, I'd lock my doors and windows and never, 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 never leave my house again." So it's much better done when it's sung by, picture that with ska music and horns and upbeat and fast. And there you go. There's your answer. Sorry, John.
It's okay.
It's a tough quiz so far, but now we have perfect streaks on the line.
Right. If you get this one, I can't win.
You can't win. Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Bring it on. Let's do it.
When did shanties start? And so this is more of what we consider to be a shanty.
Okay.
1300s, 1900s, 1800s, or 1600s.
I think when I'm thinking of like pirate ships and being active, I'm looking at the 1600s for some reason. I do think 1800s was a pretty prominent pirate time as well. I don't know that for sure. 1300s seems too early, but pirates go way back, don't they? As usual, I could make an argument for any of these being right, but I'm going to go with what jumped out at me off the bat, which was 1600s, and I'm locking it in.
Incorrect.
Oh, damn, you can still win.
1800s.
It was 1800s. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you're not incorrect in that pirates were back in the day. However, pirates are more modern than you think.
Oh, I saw Captain Phillip. I know. Captain Phillips. See, that's very modern day pirates from where were they from? I can't even remember. From Africa, Senegal. Was that it? God, no. I'll fix this and tidy up later.
But no, I mean shanties really became a thing in the mid 1800s, the 19th century, and that's still, sailing ships were still a thing. And then you started getting towards the 20th century, you started getting the steamships and everything, and then they started to kind of fall out of fashion. Because they weren't needed, because they were work songs. You're not having the heave, you're not having the haul. You've got the steam power instead of sails. You've got motors pulling up the anchor and everything. So you still had workers, but they were doing other things.
Yeah.
And so the shanties kind of started to go away, but they never truly went away because of a lot of fishing villages and stuff in England and Canada. And so in the early 1900s, there was a couple people that actually created songbooks of shanties.
Oh, cool.
And so that's where a lot of the songs that you can hear now came from. Are those books, or got passed down in villages by people.
That's more or less the modern, what we know as shanties. That's when they started getting documented.
Right. It's not to say that there weren't things like shanties back in the 1400s, but as more of that modern call and response is the mid 1800s.
Gotcha. And the other thing that I realized, sort of an error that I made, is that it's not necessarily just pirates. I mean, it's sailors. Right. I mean, it's probably commonly associated with pirates, right? But
not necessarily.
Gotcha. That's where my mind goes.
By this time, pirates have kind of died out in general. I mean, after the Revolutionary War, pirates kind of died out. So we're talking more like Civil War time is when these were happening. And so it's, from my understanding, like the British Royal Navy didn't really allow shanties to be sung. But you got the merchant marines and the other, the whaling vessels. And it's really whaling vessels and fishing ships and stuff like that. Gotcha. Where you've got the people that are going to be singing and stuff like that.
Yeah, interesting. Somalia, by the way, is the country I was thinking of. That is where the pirates from the movie Captain Phillips come from. That's a real-time tidy up for you. Okay, so you were ready for number 4 on ska music for you?
I am.
Got to keep it alive by getting this one right? Let's see. If you don't get this right, then there's no way you can catch me.
Right.
Because I already got 2. I'm 2 for 3. You are 0 for 3.
Correct.
All right, here we go. Number 4, the lead singer of which popular third wave ska band, as we know that's kind of modern ska, is the current announcer for Jimmy Kimmel Live? Is it the Toasters, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Goldfinger, or Mad Caddies?
I mean, to be honest, I think I've heard of the Toasters.
Okay, well, that was going to be my question, is what is your familiarity with these bands?
I mean, I know Mighty Mighty Bosstones. I think I've heard of the Toasters. Goldfinger, maybe. Mad Caddies, no.
Okay.
But I'm going to automatically rule out Mighty Mighty Bosstones because I know they're East Coast and Jimmy Kimmel records West Coast.
Yeah, you're in LA.
So that right there rules out the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. The Toasters, just by the name, seem more East Coast. I'm going to go with Mad Caddies.
Mad Caddies is your final selection?
It seems like an LA type name.
It does, doesn't it? Mad Caddies is incorrect. Actually, I believe the only LA band on here, wait, let me make sure I'm not spoiling it. No, I'm not, is Goldfinger. Goldfinger is from Los Angeles. The correct answer is actually Mighty Mighty Bosstones. So you are correct. The name Bosstones is a reference to Boston, where they're from. So they are an East Coast band, but Dickie Barrett is the lead singer of the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, has lived in LA for many years now, and is as far as I know, still currently the announcer of Jimmy Kimmel Live. He has been for a very long time.
So what you're saying is he's a sellout.
He is a sellout, much like the Real Big Fish song. He sold out and moved to LA. He actually, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones are keeping ska alive in a lot of ways. They just released an album, and they have a song called, it's the Something Parade, and it's such a good song. Hang on. The Final Parade. And I just discovered this recently. It's an 8-minute song, and it has all these ska artists from bands. I'll read a few here: Fishbone, Less Than Jake, The Toasters, which is an original. They're one of the original third wave and maybe even late two-tone ska bands. The Aquabats lead singer makes an appearance on the song. The Interrupters is one of the more current ska bands. This is they had a hit about 2 or 3 years ago that was on mainstream radio. This song is so good. We're going to include it on the playlist, The Final Parade by the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. And some people even argue that with the Interrupters and with this album coming out, that it's like, oh, is this bringing a new wave of ska into the, so, that may be an overstatement. But yeah, Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Dickie Barrett is your guy.
Okay. Shows you how much I watch Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's see number 4 on shanties. All right, here we go.
So I've had a hard time not saying the answer for this one. What was the person who led the songs called? Shantyman, Songman, Leader, or Director?
Oh, I want it to be Shantyman. I'm not picking it yet. Shantyman is, for some reason, I picture Shantyman standing on the corner of the street, down the street from where I live on Pico and Westwood. There's Shantyman doing his thing. So there's a person who leads the songs, and you've been wanting to describe them the entire time, but you couldn't because you didn't want to give this away. So there's leader and director are pretty, like, it could be either of those. Like, those would make perfect sense. But I want it to be something more unique. So I'm gonna either choose Shantyman or Songman. Because I said it right off the bat, I'm gonna choose Shantyman and lock it in.
Correct.
Oh yeah! All right, Shantyman. And he's also on the corner of Pico and Westwood right now.
Yeah, no, it's Shantyman. He's the one that'll lead the song, and then everyone else will sing the chorus.
I love that so much. How do I become a Shantyman is my question.
Know the songs and then get other people to sing the chorus.
You know a good way to learn the songs?
You listen to them.
Go to our playlist.
Yeah. Just to plug some other bands. To be honest, I don't know of any American bands or groups that really do shanties. I think mainly because, I'm not saying that there aren't, fishing towns and everything in the U.S. I mean, Seattle, the Northeast, a bunch of the old mariner traditions there. But England and Canada have the ones that I listen to the most.
Okay.
So, like I already mentioned, the Longest Johns. They're from England. There's a band called the Dreadnoughts out of Canada.
Naught.
Yep, as in the type of ship.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of them.
They do... I will just say this in the most loving way. Canadians can be weird.
Yes. I think they would take that as a compliment.
Right. And the Dreadnoughts go with that. They will sing shanties. One of my favorites that they sing is called Old Maui. And that's a song talking about being a whaling ship that went up to, the Bering Strait to go whaling. And then once they're done for the season, they head back down to Maui.
Wow, no way. So that's what was it called again?
Maui. Old Maui.
That's a song.
Yep. It's an old song. The Dreadnoughts play it or sing it. They also do punk, like they're a punk band as well. They'll play like punk inspired polka.
Oh my gosh. You had me at all of those words.
Since they're Canadian, they've got a song about poutine, and then they even sing some stuff in French too. Another great band out of Newfoundland, I believe it's Newfoundland, is Great Big Sea. They sing some shanties, but they also have their own stuff. They cover REM's It's the End of the World.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good version.
I don't doubt it for a second. Oh my gosh. Just all of what you're describing sounds right up my alley. And I'm not transitioning just yet, but ska and punk are very closely tied together. So there's a lot of ska punk bands, like fusion bands that I like, and I think that opened the door for me to get into a lot of just straight up punk bands. Right. And so you're describing a lot of things that I just...
And so the Dreadnoughts might be a good intro for you.
Good stuff, man. Well, thanks for opening the door to the Dreadnoughts and Shantymen for me.
Yeah, no problem.
Random change of subject really quick. Mm-hmm. We have a listener who lives in Seattle, a good friend of mine named Emily. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because you talked about Mariners in Seattle. That's obviously their baseball team.
Right.
So I'm challenging Emily, if she's listening to this, to try to get the Seattle Mariners to start having more shanty songs at their games if they don't already, or to have a Shantyman as their mascot. They have a moose currently, I believe. But
so I may have not said this, but my uncle Dale,
Uncle Dale.
Yep, he's been mentioned a few times on here. Him and his wife actually live on a sailboat.
What?
Near Seattle.
Is Uncle Dale a Shantyman?
I mean, if he can get Nikki to sing the chorus, I suppose.
They literally live off the coast of Seattle in a sailboat. Yeah. They live in Seattle. So so Seattle might be our hottest listening zone then.
I think LA is actually.
Yeah, LA might be, just from my family and friends. But Emily is a friend who used to live in LA down here. We met at Laverne, and we're a very good friend of mine, one of my best friends, and lives up in Seattle now. So, all right, let's get your last one for Scott.
I have to get at least one.
Yeah, you're 0 for 4, right?
Yeah, I've never been 0 for 4 or 0 for 5.
This is maybe I maybe made this too hard. Well, let's see what we got here. Okay, Orange County, California is considered one of the major hotspots for third wave ska bands. Which of the following bands is not from Orange County? Less Than Jake, Save Ferris, The Aquabats, Suburban Legends.
Do you mind telling me what cities are in Orange County? Because I've heard of Orange County, but I couldn't tell you what cities are in Orange County.
Anaheim is the big one. That's where Disneyland is.
Okay.
Anaheim, Garden Grove, Cerritos. I'm just naming things off the top of my head until I pull up a list. Santa Ana. Orange is literally a town, a city. Newport Beach, Laguna Beach. Huntington Beach is a big one. I don't know if any of these are helping you, but yeah.
Okay.
Orange County and Los Angeles, along with like San Bernardino County, this is all considered Southern California, but...
Right.
Orange County and LA are very different markets. I mean, they're very different places, and I could get into a whole conversation about that. But I'll be cautious to not talk crap about Orange County right now. But in my opinion, one of the best things that Orange County did is ska music. That is the one thing I can give them mad props for, and Disneyland. They did a good job with that too.
I'm kind of torn between Save Ferris and the Aquabats.
Okay.
I mean, based off of the towns that you listed that I know, I could see Save Ferris being there, but also not. I mean, Save Ferris and No Doubt came out at like the same time. I mean, and No Doubt was more of the poppy sound, and Save Ferris was more of the harder sound.
Yeah,
fair to say.
The very more tried and true ska sound, if you will. Yeah.
So that tends to want me to think that they're more towards LA, but I mean, that may not mean anything, since I know hardly anything about California, especially Southern California. And I know the Aquabats are a huge fan. You're a huge fan of you.
Yes, I am.
Am I misremembering in that, did Travis Barker be the drummer for them for a while?
That's right. I was almost going to throw in a question about that. He was not their original drummer, but he was their drummer on their biggest album, which was The Fury of the Aquabats.
Right.
And he was Tito Von Baron back in those days.
So that makes me wonder, maybe the Aquabats is more of an LA thing instead of Orange County, just because, not their roots, but, what they're tied into. I know they've done, kids shows and stuff like that, but, groups can move. Yeah. As I learned in the last question.
yes, I can. Yeah, I love it because you're trying to use logic here, much like you did in the last question, and then that ended up screwing you over.
Based off the name Suburban Legends, I mean, Orange County sounds like it's basically just suburbs.
Yeah, you're accurate with that. It more or less is. It's not
so
really
I'm assuming city. Suburban Legends are from the suburbs. So, and Less Than Jake definitely seemed more of a suburban-y band. I think I'm going to go with Save Ferris.
Okay, you locking it in? Let me know when you're locking it in.
Locked in.
Save Ferris is incorrect. Oh man, we got our first 0 for 5. I thought it would be me, John. I'm going to be completely honest. I thought it would be me. The correct answer is Less Than Jake. They are from Gainesville, Florida. all the other three bands, Save Ferris, Aquabats, Suburban Legends, they are all from Orange County. Aquabats are Huntington Beach is where they're kind of listed as. I'm seeing like some of the guys met in Brea. I'm not sure what the Travis Barker connection is. Now I'm realizing right now because Blink-182 is a San Diego band, but Travis Barker became a member of Blink-182 because the Aquabats were on Warped Tour with Blink-182.
Okay.
Blink was having trouble with their drummer, needed a fill-in, and Travis Barker came and sat in and finished the tour with them and then said, you know what, I'm going to go with this band instead of the Aquabats. Save Ferris is Huntington. No, I just see them as Orange County. I'm not sure exactly where they met. I don't know their exact history, but Orange County for them. One of their biggest covers, by the way, Come On Eileen, is one of their biggest songs, Dexy's Midnight Runner, which is a song I play on my radio station all the time.
They also have a song called Spam.
Spam is a great song on there. Yeah, we should put Spam on there on our playlist. And Save Ferris, a reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So yeah, we'll put Come On Eileen and we'll put Spam on our playlist. But that's a great album. It means everything if you want to check out Save Ferris. And Suburban Legends is, I don't know how nationally known they are. I think they have some national recognition, but they're a band that I spent many a night going to. They would play free shows at Downtown Disney. Which was just outside of Disneyland. So you didn't have to go inside. You didn't have to pay for a Disneyland ticket. You would just go and park, and then you could watch them play for free. And they would do these like choreographed dance routines. They had 2 trumpet players, 2 trombone players, a guitarist, a lead singer, bassist, drummer. And it was, they were almost like, for lack of a better term, almost like a boy band of ska music, but they had a little more respect than a boy band would.
Okay, cool.
All right, John. I'm sorry you didn't get any right, but we have business to attend to, which is number 5. We got to find out if I can go 4 for 5 here, which I think would be my best showing.
Okay. It's a true or false. Sea songs are the same as shanties.
This is going to be a little bit just a guess because like prior to last week, I didn't even know shanties was a genre of music. And so I'm looking at sea songs. I'm like, is that a genre of music also? I don't know. We'll throw some Aquabat songs on the list, but the reason I'm bringing them up is they have a song called Into the Wild Sea. Now I want to make sure I got that right. And it's such a great song. Oh, it's just called The Wild Sea. And literally the chorus of that song is sailing on and on and on into the ocean, into the sun. And it sounds like a sailing song to me. The reason I'm bringing that up is I think that's what I'm going to use as my reference point for more of like a sea song is something different than a shanty altogether. So I am going to pick true. Oh no, I'm sorry. Sea songs are the same as shanties. I'm going to say false. They are different.
Correct.
Yes.
And I actually have to correct myself a little bit from the conversation earlier about music. Okay. Like with the different bands. The Dreadnought song Old Maui is actually a sea song, not a shanty.
Is that right?
It is.
They have a lot of genres of music in their catalog. Yeah.
I mean, they do some shanties, but Old Maui is actually a sea song. Another well-known one is The Leaving of Liverpool, which a lot of Irish bands like the Chieftains, they've sang that as well as some others. And so these are songs that would be sung in what's called the forecastle.
The forecastle.
Yeah, and that's where the sailors would sleep. It's towards it'd basically be at the front of the ship.
Oh, not the number 4, but like the front. 4,
right.
Fore.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that's where they would sleep and eat. And, if the weather was nice, maybe they'd be up on deck in the fore of the ship. But these songs would have instruments. It might be a fiddle or a concertina, something like that.
What's a concertina?
Think accordion.
It's like the little round accordion. Like cylindrical.
I think so.
What's the name of it again? I'm going to look it up, but just for other people listening as well.
A concertina.
Concertina, something like, yeah. This is, I love this. Now I want to learn to play one.
Yeah, it's what you're thinking. It's not exactly circular, but...
Yeah, it's more of a, what is that? A
hexagon.
Hexagon, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little accordion.
Oh my gosh, I want to get one now so bad. Ooh, there's one for $22. It's a toy one. Maybe I'll start there.
But, sea songs are more like what you would think of as a normal song. It's not necessarily call and response, where there might be some where you've got someone singing the verse and then everyone else is singing the chorus, but it's not geared towards working. It's more geared towards leisure.
Being merry.
Exactly.
Drinking and being merry.
Yeah.
And there's instruments is one of the big differences too.
Yeah.
Wow. You have opened up a whole new world for me, John. And I can't tell you how I'm looking at images of concertinas, and it's funny because it's like, I guess I knew this existed, but always thought it was just an accordion. But no, I'm not that musically skilled. I play guitar and piano a little bit, but I just want to own one of these so bad, John. Here's what we need to do. We need to get enough patrons. So we are on Patreon. Just look up Lack of Genius. You can start with a very small donation of $3 a month, or you can go bigger and but I will commit to buying a concertina with your money. No, I guess that's not really a good thing to say. I'll use my own money, but I will, maybe we'll have to make one of the things where I'll put on a private concert for you once I learn to play my concertina. Let's do that.
Sounds good. And something to keep in mind, shanties and sea songs were also sung in other languages besides English.
Oh.
The Dreadnoughts actually have one in French. Even though I took French in high school, I'm going to butcher the title of this. But I believe it's Pique à la Baleine.
Okay.
Which is it's a song about hunting a whale.
Oh yeah, baleine. Yeah, but that's like that means
that's
whale, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so it's all in French, but it's kind of a shanty / sea song.
Ah, I love it. I love it. And we'll put it on our list as well.
Yeah.
I am super excited for this playlist. I'm already thinking because as I go back and edit this, I'm just going to write down every song that we mention. And I'll also try to throw in various bands that I may have mentioned and maybe didn't even get into the full history of. I hope that, regardless of, John, look, we just have to face the elephant in the room. You went 0 for 5, and that's okay, man. I love you all the same. You have won 5 episodes. This is the 3rd one that I've won, so you still have the overall record lead, and we've tied 2. But what I will say is I hope that those listening learned something. I think you've heard the excitement in my voice over these shanties. Like, this is really exciting for me, and I can't wait to dig in. And I hope that those that are real ska scholars, for lack of a better word, went easy on me, and that I did a decent enough job, and that hopefully those who knew nothing about ska going into this were able to learn something.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to hang up my checkered Vans.
Yeah, you've lost your ska privileges for a little bit. No, this is just all the more reason for you to go in and listen.
Yeah.
By the way, this was a great week for me because I spent the whole week listening to ska music just to kind of get in the right mindset.
Yeah, I've been listening to shanties. So
yes, and now this week we're going to be reversed. I'm going to be listening to shanties, and you're going to be listening to all these ska bands.
Yep.
Well, good time. So we'll put a bookmark in that, and we're looking forward to the playlist that we'll have linked. In fact, we'll probably have it linked on
It'll be in the show notes for the podcast. Yep.
Gotcha. So you'll be able to find it there, and we can look ahead to next week, which we've been kind of teasing a little bit, kind of on accident.
Yeah.
But we've decided to look into our favorite 90s styled movies, right? Is that what we're kind of saying?
Well, not necessarily styled, but some of our favorite movies from the 90s.
And so what we've been hinting at is what are you going to do, John?
I'm going to do the classic Ninja Turtle movies, which just barely eked into the 90s, and that the first one came out in 1990.
There were 3 of them as far as I know.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I even have all 3 on DVD somewhere. So
I do too.
They were movies that I loved as well, but I'm certainly not a genius on them.
Well, and they all, from what I saw earlier tonight, they all are on HBO Max. So if you have HBO,
you can go watch them.
You can watch them.
So fun fact that I'll say now, and I'll try to remember to say next episode, but my dad, in his heyday, was an excellent gymnast. He's still a judge of gymnastics. One of the guys who was in the Ninja Turtle movies Inside the Suit, I believe Leonardo in the first one, my dad taught him gymnastics. My dad was his gymnastics coach. I don't know the name, but I'm going to have to look it up for
That's cool.
I'll try to get some info. And I am going to be covering Adam Sandler 90s movies. And I can't, off the top of my head, we got Billy Madison, we got Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy. So there's a few in there. I shouldn't have named these because this is probably going to be in the quiz. I am a huge Adam Sandler fan. Not as much into his later comedies, but now that he's done some dramatic stuff, I'm a big fan. But I'm going to be focusing on his 90s comedy movies. And we look forward to having you along for that ride.
Yeah, it should be fun.
All right, John, man. This is one of my favorite parts of the week is just getting together with you and talking on these microphones. And so thanks for the fun times this week.
No problem.
And thank you for listening. And we look forward to, we'll be back next week having a blast.
Yeah, on episode 11.
Episode 11. We'll catch you then. We're looking forward to it.
We are.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.